Hello and welcome to Fight News Now Extra. My name is John Pollock, and today on the show it's John Ramdeen, Robin Black, and myself previewing Saturday night's free Bellator card from Long Beach, California, featuring 3 title fights, including the rematch between Michael Chandler and Eddie Alvarez. But up first are today's Newsmakers. The ink had barely dried on the contract between Alexander Gustafsson and Antonio Rogerio Nogueira to fight March the 8th in London, England, when a back injury has now forced Nogueira out of the fight and his chance to unseat a top light heavyweight in Gustafsson. MMAfighting.com first reported the news of the back injury, and no replacement has been announced. Josh Barnett appeared in front of the Nevada State Athletic Commission on Thursday and has agreed to undergo random drug testing ahead of his UFC 168 bout in December against Travis Brown. The testing will be financed by the UFC as a precaution, as Barnett has tested positive for banned substances on 3 occasions during his career, with the last one being in 2009 ahead of his bout with Fyodor Emelianenko for affliction. In an interview with Brazilian outlet OUL, Vitor Belfort has stated that if he receives a title shot in the future, he is willing to abstain from testosterone replacement therapy in order to fight for the title. Belfort, who tested positive for a banned substance back in 2006, states he has been on TRT for 3 years and takes regular blood tests to ensure he is not fighting with extreme levels of testosterone in his system, and he will meet Dan Henderson next Saturday night in Brazil. And finally, following a successful cut down to 170 pounds, Hector Lombard has stated he would like to fight Carlos Condit next after speaking with BJPenn.com. Lombard had a rocky start to his UFC career with a 1-2 record at 185 pounds, cut down and defeated Nate Marquardt in impressive fashion last month at UFC 166. And joining me now, John Ramdeen and Robin Black, and coming up on Saturday night, Bellator presenting, I believe, their biggest card in history. We have a main event now of Michael Chandler, Eddie Alvarez. For many people, this is the main event they wanted. And let's be honest, this pay-per-view, the 3 of us were going to be watching it, but I don't know how many people would be part of that Facebook fan page of people buying that Bellator pay-per-view. Spike TV owns half of this company. Why not you just put this on free television, and you could have potentially your biggest Bellator audience ever on Saturday night?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, it's funny because the first fight between Eddie Alvarez and Michael Chandler went down the same day that Shogun battled Dan Henderson. People talk about how epic, maybe the greatest fight in the history of mixed martial arts. Well, the battle between Alvarez and Michael Chandler wasn't too shabby either. These guys brought it. They came to entertain. They took punches. They doled out punches. There were tons of scrambles. This is, the most exciting mixed martial arts I've seen in quite some time, because you have some talented guys. Eddie Alvarez has a history. We've had the chance to really see this guy over his career, whether it be fighting in Dream, fighting for Bodog, now fighting for Bellator, and I have a feeling one day he will be fighting for the UFC, but right now he wants to claim that Bellator throne once again, and what a fantastic main event. This card, I really did want to see Tito Ortiz and Rampage. Why not? These guys helped pioneer this sport. That's not happening.
There's the tagline for when they do fight. Rampage versus Tito. Why not? Why not in 2014? Guy's got his 3rd broken neck, a broken back.
Yeah, I mean,
what can the human body take in this state?
Well, sure, we're doing some research with it. But yeah, you feel bad for Rampage Jackson, but at the same time, it's like, that was one of those funny ones. Look, you look at this, and Bellator was a great company, is a great company.
They're still alive.
Yeah, they're still alive. They're a great company, and it's been run really well by Bjorn Rebney. And all of a sudden, Viacom comes in, and they're like, guys, we're taking over. And it's really been a lot of weird stuff since then. Even booking that one, I mean, you don't have to look very far to go, okay, Tito is a great fighter, he's a pioneer, but he looks like he's falling apart. Rampage, misses Wade, and he hasn't been super motivated. Just because those guys stand on television and go, no, we mean it this time, we're super motivated, doesn't mean the fight's going to happen. On the other hand, Chandler versus Alvarez is a phenomenal fight, really excited about it. Chandler's one of the best fighters in the world. Alvarez arguably has been there, but Alvarez is pissed off. And can you imagine how pissed off he is when suddenly that whole contract thing was about, well, they say they're going to put me on pay-per-view, but they're not. And then they go, no, we totally are going to put you on pay-per-view. See, you're on a pay-per-view. And then it's like, no, I'm not on a pay-per-view. Like, it just must be so incredibly frustrating for Eddie Alvarez. So he's got to go in there and fight a guy who's arguably as good a 55er as anyone on earth, but he's motivated by proving these guys that they're idiots and winning. It's a weird one, but it's an exciting fight.
And it's going to be a very interesting fallout. There's so much talk of what this contract with Eddie Alvarez entails, if there will be the automatic rematch right afterwards. A lot of interesting elements attached to this main event here on Saturday night. But we also have the featherweight title fight, as Pat Curran is going to be taking on Daniel Straus. This is a rematch from the XFO promotion, fight that you guys did call at the time. And I just looked at in 2013, Pat Curran, when you look at how much more improved this guy is at this point, Daniel Straus has had so many issues outside of the cage over the past year that this could be pretty much a showcase performance for Pat Curran.
And that's what you need right now, because, for casual fans, they have no idea who Pat Curran is, and they probably have no idea who Jeff Curran is, and he's one of the guys that helped pioneer the sport as well. So, I mean, it's a situation where Pat Curran has just got to go out. He's got to absolutely blast Daniel Straus. But again, that's easier said than done. Straus has made a lot of improvements himself. He's a very durable guy and knows how to shut down people's games, because he always pursues the takedown, looks to make it a grindy fight. And if he can do that with Pat Curran will be up for the task, and he will come out on top. But it's not the fight that I think the promotion or the fans want. People want to see Pat Curran land a head kick knockout or use his fists like he did with Mike Ricci. And again, that's why this guy is so dynamic. And if he can do that on Saturday night, I think people will be, wow, this guy is clearly a guy you have to watch out for.
Listen, my Twitter is @RobinBlackMMA. If anybody can tweet me and tell me some hole in Pat Curran's game since he's been 145, like, is there anything that he can't do? Is there any moment that he hasn't looked outstanding? Is there a single moment in any fight at 145 pounds that this guy looks like he cannot win the fight? There isn't one. This guy is unstoppable at 145. He's going to run right through Kraus again. And then, we're going to be sitting around going, who can beat this guy at 145 pounds outside the UFC? That's a problem. Bellator, we have a lot of fun watching it. There's a lot of great fights, but there's a lot of holes in the cheese right now.
Hold on. Joe Riggs is also on this card. Terry Adam is on this card. King Mo's on the card. Emmanuel Newton. I think Bellator has done a phenomenal job with 106. And I think the fans, if they give it a chance, they tune in, they are going to be entertained. They're going to be pleased with the product they see.
There you go. It's Bellator, their biggest card ever, coming up on Saturday night. It's going to be headlined by the big anticipated rematch, Michael Chandler and Eddie Alvarez. It's coming up on Saturday, but right now, you've got more of Fight News Now Extra.